Today is the fifth Oil and Natural Gas Industry Day at the Capitol, and we're going to have nearly 1,000 people here, and gives them a chance to come to the Capitol, meet the people that represent them, and tell them how important oil and natural gas is in their lives and the people that they know, their family and friends, and as importantly to the economy and future of Louisiana.
We're highlighting the wonderful work that the oil and gas industry does for Louisiana. The oil and gas industry is our leading employer, our leading taxpayer. They are our umbilical cord for the state. We need to take care of them. I'm glad we're hosting the event. It allows us as candidates to highlight the oil and gas industry and show what John Bell's administration is doing to decimate the energy. So I'm glad we're here.
We're here to celebrate the oil and gas industry and show them how important they are to our economy. Been that way for 100 years. Just literally thousands and thousands of families. I think it's a great time to see people show up at the Capitol, be involved, because we have to protect that industry. We have to make it grow. We have to protect these jobs and these families. You're going to have an outsider, conservative, a serious business person that can move our state forward, create jobs, fill those jobs with Louisiana citizens.
Good afternoon, and thank you. It's a pleasure to be back with all of you today, and I want to thank Tyler and Gifford for the work that they do with the two associations who are represented. And I am happy to be here today to voice my appreciation for the important work that the individuals associated with the industry do, and the industry as a whole. It's incredibly important for Louisiana, and it's been a proud part of our history for many, many years as it relates to oil and gas exploration and all of the beneficial economic impacts that has had. I don't think it's an understatement, or I should say an overstatement, that just about every family of any size in Louisiana has one or more members working in the energy sector, and I know that's certainly true for me. And in many cases, generations of families have worked in the oil fields or in the oil service sector. You know, as the saying goes in Louisiana, if you have a business of any kind, you're actually in the oil and gas business too. Because if workers in that industry aren't making money, there's a good chance that you aren't in your business. So the oil and gas sector is incredibly important for the overall health of our state and our economy. And we saw this when the price of oil began to drop precipitously in 2014, and the rig count followed suit in 2015. And the good news is we're starting to see some price stability and increases, and we've actually seen the permitting numbers rise in each of the past 2 years, getting close to 800 permits in 2018, up from a low of 475 in 2016 when oil prices fell as far as into the $20 range. While getting a permit certainly doesn't guarantee that a well will get drilled, Louisiana has also seen gains there. From the bottoming out of around 20 rigs running in early 2016, we've gotten back up into the 40s and have stayed in that range for most of the past 2 years. And that gain may not seem like a whole lot. It's about 20 rigs, but each one represents a company that's able to stay in business. And it's certainly more than just a number. It's a number that puts a lot of food on a lot of tables for a lot of families. Another sign of the recovery we've seen is the leasing of state-owned land and water bottoms in the current fiscal year. Through April of 2019, the Louisiana Mineral and Energy Board had collected about $13.8 million in lease bonus payments, roughly 3 times more than in 2017 and 18, and more than the past 3 fiscal years combined. And with 2 more lease sales to go, Louisiana's lease bonus is the highest we've seen since the 2014-2015 fiscal year, and we could well exceed those numbers. The continued interest and investment in Louisiana's natural gas is obviously being boosted by the access to new markets around the world as LNG export facilities are taking advantage of Louisiana's infrastructure, taking advantage of the coast, the river, the pipelines, and of course the most well-known of these, the expanding Cheniere Sabine Pass facility in Cameron Parish, is certainly now being joined by a lot of new projects. And between expansions, new construction, initial permit approvals, and pre-filed applications to FERC, more than a dozen LNG export projects are on the board in Louisiana, all the way from Cameron Parish to Plaquemines Parish, and certainly that bodes well for our future. What's equally exciting is that we're seeing gains across our economy. And now you're going to hear a lot of folks, a couple of them will come up behind me and say some different things, but these are the facts. The state's GDP today, the size of our economy is the largest that it has ever been, at about $255 billion. Personal income has hit an all-time high of $215 billion. We just announced 13 straight months of over-the-year job growth. Unemployment is at 3.9%. That seasonally unadjusted number was 6.3% the day that I became governor. We've landed 130 major economic development projects in the state of Louisiana, more than $33 billion of capital investment in the creation of 27,000 new jobs and more than 21,000 jobs retained. So I'm excited about what the future holds. I hope that you are as well. I'm excited that we have stabilized our budget. The largest ever budget deficit in the history of our state has given way to small surpluses, and this stability is serving us well in the state of Louisiana. For example, we're no longer cutting higher education. In this year, we're on track to give our teachers an overdue pay raise, the first in 10 years, and we're certainly going to fully fund our TOPS obligations as well as need-based aid for higher education as well. We're also providing more health care coverage to lower income workers so that they can get the care that they need to remain productive workers and to stay in employment. Simply put, things are much better today in Louisiana than they were just 3 and 4 years ago. And I'm convinced that they're going to get better still going forward. And that's manifesting itself in a lot of ways around the state of Louisiana. And certainly the people of Louisiana know it and they feel it. And they recently told an LSU survey that they know in greater and greater numbers that Louisiana is moving in the right direction. And yeah, we still have our challenges and we still have a lot of work to do. But compared to where we were before and where we are today, we can attack those remaining challenges, relatively speaking, from a position of strength. And you all will play a big part in that. So I want to thank you for all the contributions that you make every day to the state of Louisiana. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done in the past. And I am very, very optimistic about the future of our state and your role in it. So God bless you, and may God bless the great state of Louisiana.
Thank you for allowing me to speak just briefly this morning. I don't have to tell the oil and gas industry here about your state of business. Unfortunately, Governor Edwards and his administration have literally put the chokehold on an industry that is the umbilical cord of Louisiana. All I can tell you is I'm your ally and I'm your friend. As your governor, I will reverse ITEP changes that have chased industry out. As your governor, I will get the lawsuits off oil and gas backs. And as your governor, I will lower the excise and corporate tax and allow this industry to go back to doing what they do best, and that is doing good business. So I'm here to thank you for what you do for Louisiana, what you do for all 64 parishes, the employment that you do, the taxes that you pay, and know that I'm with you. Oh, by the way, I've got a letter here that Governor Edwards and his administration sent to the 6 coastal parishes early in the administration that said either they sue him or he would. Never again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, this October, you have a decision to make. You have a choice between an outsider, a conservative, a businessman with skills, someone that has the tenacity to face up to the special interest groups, and someone to move this state forward. There's no reason why Louisiana should not be #1 in the South when it comes to jobs and opportunities for our citizens. No reason whatsoever. God has blessed us with natural resources better than any other state in the Gulf, in the country, for that matter. We have agriculture, we have timber, we have the Mississippi River, we have the Gulf of Mexico. We have, as you know, oil and gas, unbelievable resources here. What we need, what we're missing is leadership at the top. We need someone from the outside, a conservative, with serious business skills, someone that's not beholden to special interest groups, someone who has the tenacity to move our state forward and battle against the status quo.
Thank y'all very much for the invite. When they first asked me to come up here, I thought they'd have about 10 speakers. I didn't know I'd be with the three big guys here, so I'm gonna make it brief. As a state representative for 12 years, parish president for 3 years, chairman of natural resources, and 6 years on CPRA, the oil and gas operation presence is vital to Terrebonne Parish. Steve, would you bring this? Conoco, Apache, Continental Oil, Steve, stand over here. They own 65% of Terrebonne Parish, just these three oil companies. It's in leases, they own it. This is how important oil and gas is to Terrebonne Parish. They've been great citizens of our, corporate citizens, and right now Shell Oil is building a 100,000 square foot building in Terrebonne Parish, a 14,000 square foot office building. We have the presence of Shell Oil, of course, BP, Chevron, Hillcorp, Williams, and many others. And we also have the largest helicopter airport in the United States. As you know, FAA gives you credit on takeoff and landings. And with that, we have more takeoff and landings in Terrebonne Parish's airport than any other place in the United States, heliport-wise. And with that, Shell is also moving in 14 helicopter ships. So you can see how vital it is to Terrebonne Parish. Of course, it's Terrebonne and Lafourche, and of course we service Fourchon, Louisiana, the major hub of the oil field, and it's got to stay protected. The oil companies and service companies operate millions of square foot of buildings in Terrebonne Parish, and have been good corporate citizens, and of course they employ tens of thousands of people between Terrebonne and Lafourche. Oil companies, they levied it off, stopping the freshwater and sediments to the tributaries and estuaries, causing the great problem we have in Terrebonne Parish, of course, and other coastal parishes. And the passes neglected by the federal government and the state government, the passes between the Barrier Islands went from small to large, and in the Gulf of Mexico moved in, killing our beautiful wetlands. And of course, these lawsuits are really hurting the industry, and I've been I've been against them from the get-go. So my parish for the last 2 years, we've been reviewing coastal use permits, which I'm very familiar with. Out of 8,500 issued in Terrebonne Parish since 1980, we have reviewed well over 1,000 and documented it. And according to Judge Enright, ruled that the state should exhaust all means of remedy to review all coastal use permits. That's where we have to look at. And of course, he came back and reversed his ruling, which is very seldom done, but that was out of Jefferson Parish. And we found no substantial violations from coastal use permits detected to date, other than some minor mitigation issues, which was quarter acre mitigation. Oil companies, they levied it off, stopping the freshwater and sediments to the tributaries and estuaries, causing the great problem we have in Terrebonne Parish, of course, and other coastal parishes. And the passes neglected by the federal government and the state government, the passes between the Barrier Islands went from small to large, and in the Gulf of Mexico moved in, killing our beautiful wetlands. And of course, these lawsuits are really hurting the industry, and I've been I've been against them from the get-go. So my parish for the last 2 years, we've been reviewing coastal use permits, which I'm very familiar with. Out of 8,500 issued in Terrebonne Parish since 1980, we have reviewed well over 1,000 and documented it. And according to Judge Enright, ruled that the state should exhaust all means of remedy to review all coastal use permits. That's where we have to look at. And of Of course, he came back and reversed his ruling, which is very seldom done, but that was out of Jefferson Parish. And we found no substantial violations from coastal use permits detected to date, other than some minor mitigation issues, which was quarter acre mitigation.
If you take a grocery store and put that grocery store in the middle of a desert, in a year, that grocery store is going to close because there aren't people to shop there. It says if you take an oil refinery or a chemical plant and you put that plant by itself in the desert, in a year you're going to have a thriving community because there'll be businesses that need to serve that plant. There are houses that are built. There are grocery stores that are brought in because chemical plants, refineries, exploration for oil and gas brings people to a community where those people put down roots.